Musicals. Yes, musicals, the various deranged genre, as it were, that kind of focuses on the perfect merge of stage performance with musical songs of every single chord that can or cannot work out. Sometimes results may vary. However, for certain people like myself, I'm not really a musical person. Not to say I hate them, but just that I don't understand them. But I will say this, there's always at least 1 to 2 songs that I find that resonate with myself more so than any other thing in the musical. And from doing this whole thing of just self-reflection, I'd be like, how to really talk about my stuff and feelings. So I came up with this, the top 10 songs in musicals. Basically just one song per musical that I felt attached to me the most from set production. However, there's going to be 2 bylaws that I'm following for this, along with certain other stuff I'm going to be following in other countdowns after this is done. First rule, only musicals myself or my research team has seen. So no Hamilton, Wicked, Kinky Boots, or that one musical I'm having a trouble remembering.
You bastard! I'll kill you! You bastard!
Not to say we don't like them, but just we haven't seen the productions, so they're automatically off the list. And for number 2, these are all just our opinions. If you guys have a favorite that you want to talk about, leave it in the comments below. We'll read them and maybe point them out during the honorable mention stuff in part 2. But enough of the silly rule stuff, let's begin the countdown. So, how to begin this countdown from the very bottom, the low of the low? Well, I could go for something obvious. Or I could flip you guys on your heads and then talk about something that everyone really does love. You know, like something of Singing in the Rain from the musical slash film Singing in the Rain.
I'm singing in the rain, just singing in the rain. What a glorious feeling, I'm happy again.
Now I understand a lot of people love this song along with loving the film slash Broadway musical itself. I'm of no exception. Even though I hate the genre, it's one of my favorite live action films involving music that I might be getting to in a later on countdown list since I'm redoing some countdowns later on in the year. And I'm a big fan of Gene Kelly's choreography as well as his singing prowess that kind of go beyond measure in certain variables that can go into for certain performers of today. But comparing it to the music that has followed through in the inception of Broadway musicals and musicals on the silver screen in general, from where Gene Kelly's film was to today, for myself at least, the wow factor wasn't really all there, and it didn't bring me to a sort of elation that the other 9 entries have done on a personal level or as an entertainment level. Plus, it's hard to ignore when Teddy Boy himself does something more jazzed up and exciting in his own parody song.
Twerking in the rain, just twerking in the rain. It's the ratchetest feeling, I'm making it clap again.
I'm such an asshole. Still, all comments aside, Singing in the Rain is a great song along with a great musical if you guys want to see something classical and something with a little bit of some joie de vivre. But for myself personally, it kind of drizzles out here at number 10. Now, if I'm gonna be honest, I have no idea why Waitress got a musical adaptation. It kind of goes along the same lines of why, for me it's the same regards as why The Color Purple or Heathers got its own musical adaptation, when the certain subject matter sometimes borderline across, I don't know, they just seem kind of odd. But I will admit, the songs in them weren't that bad when I got the CD from one of my friends that went to see the musical live, and also showed me some bootleg footage that I made sure to delete, so you guys just support the official release. Haha! But anyway, we kind of came across the whole thing. We came across number 9's entry, Everything Changes.
And who I was has disappeared. It doesn't matter, now you're
So, a little bit of a backstory. When my friends Julian and Lex took their wives to see this musical, for some odd reason that I will never know, they kind of had this whole emotional attachment to this that I didn't understand until I saw both the footage and heard the audio itself to its entirety. And frankly, I kind of had that same jubilant feeling that they had when they heard it live. And honestly, this is kind of the easiest way I could explain why I kind of like this enough to put it number 9. To anyone that's ever become a parent or an uncle, an aunt, a godparent, or anything of the like, there was something about a baby or an adopted child that kind of overwhelms your synapses to then turn you from what you were into molding you into someone better, someone a lot smarter, brighter, and can do a lot more creatively constructive things for this living being that you're responsible for. Whether they are yours biologically, yours by law, yours by whatever means that you yourself kind of feel attached to. It kind of draws you in more and more because when you just look down at them, you see someone that you would love forever as your own child, grandchild, niece, nephew, whatever. But to be frank, on a traditional sense, this song would be trounced by Singing in the Rain, but I've never been one to uphold anything for tradition. Sorry, couldn't resist. But in all seriousness though, the whole entire reason that I put for number 9 isn't entirely that, but the entirety of it is kind of why it's so low on the list. There are many different songs that have come on the past several years that have trounced this in a savage way that I can't even really describe. 2 exact notes would definitely be Theodosia and Stay Alive Reprisal from the musical Hamilton, where they kind of give off a euphoric feel that most parents would feel during birth and at the end of your child's life, no matter when it happens. So, yeah, oddly enough, an okay musical for a pretty weird movie, but nothing changed my heart to make this any higher than number 9. So, how do I say this without fans just going crazy? Hairspray. Yes, Hairspray was a full-blown phenomenon for most people for some reason. Not to say that there was something wrong with the whole production, no. But it's kind of like in the same vein as something as popular as High School Musical was for myself, where the hype was built up so much from everyone that saw it that when I watched it, I didn't get it. I was honestly just like, why? However, as I've gotten older, there was one song that resonated with me a little bit more than the others. Yes, the quaint little track of Good Morning Baltimore, out of the entire soundtrack, is my pick for the number 8 rep. If you guys are shocked by this, trust me, you have not seen anything yet until you've seen the top 5. Trust me, it's gonna get even weirder. But back to the track itself. In the midst of it being a tiny establishing song, Good Morning Baltimore just gives off a vibrant start that just lets the audience know immediately, then and there, that yes, it's gonna be a very jazzy musical. We accept both hype and all of your money right now. But seriously, we want all your money. Give us your money. Not to mention the fact that this song does give a little bit of joy for its own town, as in a big state love for its own big city, despite the fact that there weren't really a lot of diverse faces, since it was based around a very racist time in American history. But still, a lot of love for one's town, in a kind of racist light, a little bit, kind of, sort of. Moving on. But why is it only at number 8? Well, for a lot of different reasons that I could go into for a full-blown review of the film, which we'll be getting into in 2019. But for just right now, even though it's a quaint establishing song, numbers 7 through 1 have a giant range to themselves that kind of make it seem like a very minuscule piece in the entire puzzle of the musical genre. Not to say it's a bad thing, but just because it's just how it is. And I have no real transition thing for this, so let's go on with the next entry, please, before this gets really awkward. Come on. You guys ready for this one? Cause I promise you, it's a shock for me. It really is a giant shock for me to say this. Rent. Rent the musical has been loved and hated by viewers, critics, and so forth and so on for a long time. A very, very long time. For what reason, I'm not sure. Should I care? Should I get interested? Should I make a review about this? Should I even give it a slight hindrance of care or know-how? Hell no. But regardless of all of it being a musical, of its production, of its film adaptation, of all of that stuff, whether it's good or bad or whatever in the middle, there's a lot of well-written songs from this musical. Especially the number 7 pick.
Take me, baby, or leave me. Take me, baby, or leave me.
Now, before you guys say a single fucking thing, I know, there are many other songs I could have chosen from Rent. In fact, there's probably a list of them from the number 1 Rent fan right now in the comment section. Don't act like I don't see you, Shannon. I see you about to type in the comment section right the fuck now. But, personally, this song kind of captivated me more than the others in 2 simple ways. First, it's a genuine lover's quarrel that is a beautiful ballad in no matter what setting that you're placing it in, whether it's in a bank like in the film or some other location in the play. It's been a while since I saw the Broadway production, or whatever off-brand, off-Broadway theater production that happens. It's a very good one that doesn't seep into stuff that might be the beginning of fetish territory. I'm looking at you, Don Giovanni. And second, the pacing of it for a good performer is phenomenal. It is electrifying to see how it just courses itself from just a small little note of a minuscule mediocre song into a blossoming flower of melody. Example, here's Heather Trosk and one of her friends singing this song back in her college days.
Take me for where I was meant to be. And if you give a damn, take me, baby, or leave me. It won't work. I look before I leave. I love margins and discipline. I make lists in my sleep, baby. What's my sin? Never quit. I follow through. I hate mess, but I love you. What to do with my impromptu, baby?
Oh, I could watch the Queen perform all day. However, despite that being the case, and me still just having fan worship over one of my biggest idols, you're all wondering why this is so high on the list, regardless of how many people would feel about Rent. Well, it's quite a simple reason, actually. For many of the songs that have come on this list before, they had a lot of good stuff on a personal factor that I could appreciate, but not a lot that you could say had a good enough structure that could surpass whatever testament that you're trying to do for it. This being a good example of taking a mediocre medium and standing the testament of time as a good enough song on its own, whether it's someone that uses it for an audition or just a fun thing to do in the car. This is one of those songs that does it right. However, despite that, and despite it being a well-crafted piece of music, it still kind of falters into something I would like to call the mediocre spiral that kind of leaves it on just the average marker for myself. Not saying it's a good or bad medium, but you need something a lot better to get higher on this list, as we will soon see. I mean, sure, it's a pretty song from an okay musical, but sadly, I won't take it any higher than number 7. Okay, so Disney. I feel disgusting just saying the name. Oh, so Disney, as we all know, has made many lovely and sometimes very dark songs that we've cherished and memorized to this day. From old classics such as Part of Your World and Never Had a Friend Like Me, to newer songs like Welcome to the Other Side or Let It Go, even though that last one is kind of cancerous. You get the idea though from all the stuff I'm saying. Which obviously leaves this part to be the hardest one to find, since there are so many songs in Disney. What could be the one representative that could pretty much have it all the way above all expectations for a good musical song? And then it dawned on me.
Like fire, hellfire, this fire in my skin.
From one of the most groundbreakingly successful dark ventures that Disney has taken compared to The Black Cauldron, but not surpassing stuff like Night on Bald Mountain within Fantasia, Hunchback of Notre Dame had an incredible sound when it hit this track of Hellfire, its trademark villain song for Count Frollo. Probably one of the greatest songs in animation for a villain that has been compared from 90s all the way back to the 1920s. Where unlike most villain songs where it preaches about the motives or their whole reasoning for being right, it's merely a song about trying to dictate why their actions are of justice and of God. When in actuality, it's really a depraved thing where it's more or less Frollo trying to spit something of the ill mind variety.
Who am I? Why am I even here, man?
God, I hate myself for just using that. Anyway, from just that standpoint, Hellfire sounds not only like one of Disney's best songs, but definitely should be part of the top 5, right? Well, actually, no. Despite being a great musical piece that kind of is very earth-shattering and something that a lot of people have covered from metal, rock, jazz, sometimes in hip-hop, and even orchestral, it is, quite frankly, good, but it's not top 5 good because it doesn't have that whole history-making quality that a lot of different tracks deserve to have going into the highest peaks from the lowest depths of society's own measure of how a musical should be. So yes, Hellfire, you may have scorched the competition with your entire passionate sound, but you just kind of sizzled out here at number 6. Also, that one kind of rapey tone that you had that kind of goes with what Frollo was trying to do with Esmeralda didn't help your chances at all. And from there, that's just what we have for right now. But tune in next time for part 2, with a special thanks to Nick for writing the script for the entirety of part 1, where I've been told that his hands are kind of cramped from all the typing. Anyway, though, I gotta get prepared for the part 2 to come out in about a month or 2, depending on how fast I can write it. So I promise to make sure it's spectacular for you guys when it's ready. Ciao for now. Special thanks to my very first Patreon of my little sister Jasmine Kelly, and if you want to help fund more fun projects for my whole channel, make sure you visit patreon.com/thepyramidinn. Thank you guys, and I'll see you guys in the next video.